This is a tale of London slums. I was 15 when I started writing it, and I was 30 when I finished it. Winfield's Kingdom. I grew up reading Victor Hugo and Charles Dickens, and I developed a fascination with a child hero that seems to be very present in 19th century novels. There was this romantic notion of an orphan boy with a noble spirit and sometimes of aristocratic origin who gets lost in the slums and becomes involved in various adventures. And this is a tale of a 10-year-old thief who discovers that his destiny is to overthrow the British aristocracy. I can start reading from the middle. Had Tom Grant been a religious man, he would have crossed himself to make sure he was not having demonic visions. However, being an enlightened agnostic, all he could do was pinch himself, time after time. None of this could be happening to him. Every morning he awakened to the sound of a dog's whimper and two children's voices. Clearly it was some metaphysical mistake. Those sounds did not belong in his world. They were from someone else's life, not his. How did they make their way under his roof? Was it just a bizarre dream? If so, then 15 years is a long time for a dream to last. And it all started on that fateful January night in 1839, when he first had seen the blood on the snow in front of his tavern, and heard the strange noises in the cellar. Eventually, Tom gave up looking for a legitimate excuse to get rid of the two orphans dumped on him by fate, and decided to keep them as a living portfolio of his medical practice, if nothing more. His attempt to treat members of the aristocracy may have ended in a disaster, but commoners, he had better luck. When the time came to remove the bandages from the boy's face, Tom displayed signs of anxiety. He did not worry that the boy might faint from his own reflection. The patient's reaction was the least thing in his mind. Most of all, Tom feared that he would be embarrassed by his own work. When the last layer of gauze came off, Tom sighed with relief. The results pleasantly surprised him. Diana was working as a servant at the Golden Anchor Inn. Tom gave this position to her because he thought it was the only position suitable for her. When Diana was old enough, Tom told her what happened to her that winter night in 1839, how she came to stay at the Golden Anchor. He saw no need to conceal the truth from the girl. She had the right to know why she had blurry vision, constant ringing in her ears, numbness in her fingertips, heart palpitations, and difficulty breathing. So he explained to her in a very casual tone to what tortures Ted Fraser had subjected her, how much blood she lost that night, and how much, or rather how little, she could expect from life. You survived, but you never fully recovered, Tom concluded. Heart tissue, unlike that of lungs, does not regenerate itself. What is lost cannot be restored. The best we can hope for is to slow down the progression of your disease. Try to avoid infections and worries, all of which come from other people. If you touch someone, wash your hands at once. If you hear something unpleasant in your address, wash your memory. You can't allow the luxury of anger or jealousy. They will devour what's left of your heart. All the foolishness is for healthy people, and you aren't one of them. If you wish to thank anyone for your fate, thank Winfield. He was the one who insisted upon saving your life. So I found solace in religion and literature. This is why sometimes I think I was born in the wrong century. But had I been born in 1830s, maybe I would have been that girl. Who knows? Sometimes I remind myself, Rena, you're lucky to live in the 21st century where children have rights. In Victorian England, children really did not have rights. Children labor laws were not passed until late 1840s. Until then, children as young as 8 years old would work for 10 hours. There was no such thing as personal injury. So if you lost your hand inside a machine, You were discarded. There was a huge turnaround of population. Many people were born and many people died. And those who survived, they had really strong immune system.
9 years old, what happened?
I was a bit of a bully. There was a girl in my class that other kids picked on, and I'm ashamed to say I was one of them. And Virgin Mary came to me and she said, I have a better job for you. You're going to become the defender of the outcast. You're going to befriend this girl, even if other kids turn against you. And ever since then, I've always sided with the outcasts. And sometimes it was the wrong choice. I've always been the defender of the unpopular, of the geeks and the freaks and people that you don't invite to the prom.
But I know this. Amazing.
I just want to have something to brag about on my deathbed. I don't want to say, well, I didn't do this because I was ashamed or I was bashful. I think the part of my brain that stores shame and inhibitions has been removed. When I was 3 months old, my mother dropped me on my head. And she won accidentally, yes. I was wiggling and she didn't tell anybody. And she was just waiting to see what the side effects, what the long-term side effects of the trauma would be. And I guess that was the part of me that stored inhibitions. And sometimes when you are teased and ridiculed as a child, sometimes you want to do things out of spite. When you have nothing to live for, you live out of spite. And it sounds terrible, but many of my things, many of the things that I've done were done because I wanted to prove my naysayers wrong. I'm going to do this even though you shouldn't.